What keeps you on the iPhone, Jack?
Simplicity. No need to change. Really, there's nothing that this bloody iPhone never lets me do this. So like,
Yeah,
I don't know. They're just so simple and easy.
I'm gonna get. I think it'd be worth Bluetoothing in first, actually, before I make that call, so we can all hear him. Bluetooth. Roadcaster Pro.
Are you phoning him, putting him on the spot, not texting him?
Yeah.
Oh, right,
Oh,
okay.
do you know?
Like
you know.
Hey,
Liam,
I don't know what we'll do. We'll phone him as soon as he answers. I'll play the music.
That'd be great.
Just try not to make him cry first thing on this lovely
my ringtone.
Bloody
Hello.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Hear2Listen podcast. I'm here with Jack,
Yo,
Max,
Easy.
and Leon. Hello, Leon.
Yo, yo.
I thought he put the phone down for a second. I actually thought he put the phone down.
I don't know if you
What
were
were we
set.
saying that?
Yeah, I don't know if you were set, mate. I didn't know if you had plans or whatever, but we were sitting here going, why can't we just like phone him in? And we do want to just check, are you available to be part of this?
Yeah, you're lucky. I just got a phone to Chris, but yeah, I'm all good.
Okay, cool.
How you doing, lad? You got everyone all right?
yeah, we're all good. I'm all good. Just getting ready for the sessions later, aren't we, Max?
Yep. Sessioning it up.
That
Session 2.
definitely, I thought would be a great
Which one have
subject
you
to
got?
school support. Yeah,
Yeah.
by the way. Yeah. Sorry, Liam.
I'll say we got resilience today, ain't you?
Resilience.
Bit of
Yes,
resilience.
resilience.
Actually, we got to finish off
We've got to
anxiety.
finish, yeah, we're gonna start off finishing or
What, you
touching.
didn't finish it?
Nah, mate,
You had
we're
2 hours.
too deep. We're too deep. Bearing in mind, we didn't even play any games, did we?
Nah.
This is the thing with group work, Leon. See, you can't just rush through it. If the conversation's there, you know this. The conversations are there, then they're there. Like, you got to dive into it. You can't just open up a can of worms and then sort of run out the building and go, woo, Friday. Well, actually, no, you can, but we can.
Well,
But yeah, no,
Yeah.
we're going to finish. We're going to go in there, obviously, just to reflect a little bit about what we'd started last session. There might be a couple of people that was missing that weren't there last week. I think the main man's there again, isn't he now? Ravi.
Yeah, he was there in our session last week
Yeah.
on Friday.
So,
He sat in the whole time.
yeah, he's sound.
Funny. Easy.
Oh, did you see the comment on YouTube?
Nah.
I'm not going to call out his name, but his name's on there. But yes, easy. He knows who he is. He's actually commented, easy. Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, throughout the, I don't know if Adam knows, to give a little bit of context.
It was
but
so funny.
So halfway through the session that me and Jack done at a college in Bedford last week, on their 15-minute break, a lot of them decided just to stay in the room, and they was asking questions about NCS and what it's going to look like next summer. So we was getting up the website, showing them photos and stuff, looking around the website basically, and then come to the YouTube link. They obviously all know what YouTube is. Within minutes, this young lad had found the YouTube channel and started watching bits, like in his own time, his break, whatever. And then we started session, and about 5-10 minutes in, it's just this guy at the back just kept going, easy. And I was like mid-flow. And then I'll be like, I didn't get it at first. And then it's like, he's just watching the beginning of all of our podcast episodes. And every now and then it was like, easy.
And then it got
And
to
it's
a
like,
point.
That's you.
We were doing something and Max was trying to explain something, and then like it'd all go quiet, and then 10 seconds would pass, and this guy just come out of nowhere with the YouTube playing like simultaneously going, easy, easy. And then Max was like laughing like, yeah, easy.
If the ultimate aim for school support is to
It
engage
was
young
jokes.
people, I think you were successful in that.
Oh yeah, nah, they're a wicked bunch.
I
Aren't
would, yeah, offer to go work with Develop anytime, like literally. Yeah, I've never had a bad experience working with First Place Training or Develop. Never.
To be fair, we don't get many, do we?
No,
Bad
I think
experiences.
I have with Develop.
No, with anyone.
Oh,
Like
no.
bad experience.
Oh no. To be fair, yeah, no, but I mean like for
I feel like
we had a little bit of
Develop,
resistance.
they've got love.
Say again.
There's a lot of love for the students that develop. I'd say.
Yeah.
100%.
They want to do like the right thing for them, in all aspects, and try and give them the tools for life and all that.
Yeah, definitely. You get that vibe, don't you? When you go into that building, you get the vibe that it's
Yeah, you
definitely
can
like
feel
a
it
close
from
knit,
stuff.
close run place, like almost like a family they've created. Some of the students
Yeah.
are there for like 3 years, and they on their courses and stuff. But they've like, I remember last year or year before. I don't know if they still do it.
Max,
but
can I just have you hold that thought? Because it feels like we're in it. We're in the podcast.
we are in
and
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, what we'll do just for a bit of context. I'm not going to do the proper intro. I think we're in it. Do you know what I mean? We're here. So just for a bit of context, we thought we'd just talk about school support. So part of school support is part of our NCS contract because of all the changes with COVID recently. That we ran a sort of a modified program over the summer, and we've got other programs that are running as well. But one of the things that the NCS wanted their providers to do was to go in and support schools and colleges. I think you've got a college model, is that right?
Yeah, boy.
Yeah. So there's, us as a team of facilitators going in. I say us, I mean, it's mainly sort of a core group, but I see them as people that are awesome at facilitating. Well done, guys, but we'll get to that. The kind of subjects, we were given a huge sort of amount of stuff like resilience and recovery of COVID, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, all that sort of stuff.
Tons of stuff. So, yeah, just so people know what we're talking about, we're going to share a little bit, I think, or even a lot about what school support is all about. I'm curious because I'm kind of outside of this process, and I'm kind of interested to know. I'm also a bit envious as well, like, because facilitation has never really been my strong point. I'm very good at like being the sort of the sidekick, if you like, where I can kind of observe things and bring things on. But I would. God, man, I would love that stuff. I'd love to have what you guys have, where you just bowl in there, you just roll with the punches.
But it does. It's not. It don't start like that.
It makes me tingle.
Yeah, but it don't
I
start
feel
like
that must be awesome.
Yeah, it is. But
You were close to getting it, man. If it comes with time.
Yeah,
like,
with time
it doesn't
and
just
experience.
happen. Like, and you have to take a few knocks, obviously. Like, but on Health to Mind, for example, you might look at yourself as a psychic, and you very much was that guy because you come into help me facilitate on a program that was nothing that you'd never done before. Obviously, you got a lot of knowledge and stuff, but you look at where you was at the beginning of joining me on Health to Mind, and then look at towards the end. Like, there was bits that you were running. Do you know what I mean? Like, it just takes time. That was what, within a year?
Yeah, literally. But with these school support sessions, the ones that we're doing now, where it's like a recurring session and we're going back each week, it's going to be so much more beneficial for us and them because you can build up that relationship with them. Whereas the ones that we've done in the colleges that have actually cancelled now due to the lockdown and everything, you go in there, do one session, try and build up a relationship, try and like get some good information across to them, but then you don't see them again. And then you start on with a new one,
That's
and
my
it's
biggest-
all new again, and it's not as easy as just bowling in and delivering it, and like, because now today that's exactly what we're going to do. We know them, we know who they are, we know the ones we've got to look out for, the ones we want to work with, all that sort of stuff. So we will bowl in there and do what we do. But before, innit, we're always like, oh, what are they going to be like? Like, are they going to work with us? Are they going to like each other? Are they going to get involved? Because sometimes you do, don't they? They walk in and they're just like, who are these guys? And it like, who do they think they are walking in and just telling us what to do? And it's like,
I
we're
wonder
not
if the
here to do
first
that.
sort of the personality trait of a new group is suspicion. Would
It
you say
is,
that's fair
it
to
is.
say?
Yeah. Because normally when people
But,
hear of NCS, they don't
Tomorrow.
think. Go on.
Sorry.
No, go on,
Sorry,
Neil.
I was trying to find the space in the gap in the conversation.
Just
It's
shout.
horrible on the
Just
phone,
shout.
isn't it? I hate it.
So tomorrow, me and Chris will go to Fern Hill, right? So we're gonna, instead of working with like a small group of like 8 or 10 young people, we're gonna be working with 35 like sixth form students. So it's gonna be a lot harder. I like Jack saying, have like a personal relationship with them. So it's gonna be a bit of a different session. So I feel like we do have to be adaptable as well because we're gonna have to be like a bit more of like energetic, trying to get them speaking because they ain't going to want to speak, and it's going to be even. It's probably not going to be able to build any relationship with them, I'd say.
No, and that's the difference between group work and then like that's a full on. That's more that exceeds a class level. 35. There's not. That's like non-existent nowadays in schools. There's not 35 within a class. That's more like a lecture. So that's you can't get the same. You'll never get the same result from doing a lecture or a workshop or a session I'd say anything over 10, 15 at a push if you want to get deep and start talking about the feelings and emotions stuff. I'm not saying that they're not beneficial because you and Chris going in, that there's going to be people in there that are going to gain and benefit a lot from what you're saying delivering.
But yeah, with groups that size, there's going to be some young people at the edges, just like maybe just chucking a few jokes here and there, and not really paying attention. Because it's like a bigger group in a bigger room, you can't give them that time of energy because we've only got an hour. Whereas like the rest,
and that's what I mean. What's the session tomorrow, Leon? Sorry, what is it tomorrow?
So tomorrow's going to be delivering anxiety.
Anxiety. Yeah.
Delivering anxiety.
Yeah. Delivering it. It sounds bad, doesn't it?
Here you go, kids. That's anxiety.
But are you leading tomorrow, are you, Leon?
That sounds like a leading question.
So I think Chris is starting, and then I'm doing quite a lot of the talking just because some of the stuff that we've done already.
Yeah.
So I think it gets sorted from Max to Jack to me through these.
It does.
Is that how it's been working? Oh dear, Harry, dear.
Leon's been saying, he's like, Jack, you've been adding some good context. I'm like, yeah, mate, I've been absorbing it from letting Max talk.
That's good, because I was actually going to let you, because you've done the resilience one before. We both touched on it a little bit, didn't we? No, I was going to actually let you do it today. I'm going to take a back seat. No, and
my voice is hurting.
To be fair, like, it's nothing that we weren't already used to, but it's just these, to give a little bit of context. So these sessions, this supporting schools, not a scheme, is it? But these supporting schools programs, these workshops that we're doing, it's all brand new to us. Not the content as such.
Well, that is.
Where the content is, with the way they've put it together, the presentations, everything that came to us, we'd never seen before. But actually, the aims and agendas, when you look through the aims and objectives and all that sort of stuff that we need to get from those groups, it's easy for us to do it. We've done lots of training to do that sort of stuff. But that is not a pet hate. I was going to say, like, I don't even know what word I was going to use. When you were saying about delivering to a room full of 30, I don't mind that. I'm not scared to do that. But because of the work we've had with Health to Mind and seeing how beneficial group work is and can be, but looking at the time frames that we've got, and we always used to moan, sort of, not moan, but like, I remember we done this program called Supporting Schools, and you got 4 days, 4 sessions, 4 2-hour sessions. Some providers were doing 4 1-hour sessions, and that wasn't enough for me. If you want to go in and start getting to the nitty gritty and getting young people to open up and talk about emotions and feelings and build that environment, it needs to be a bulk load of sessions, doesn't it? And it does. And the thing is, we are going in and pretty much opening up a can of worms in some respects, and then leaving, hoping that the teachers can pick up the pieces. So that's what I don't like about it. But at the same time, I'm not going to not deliver
every time though. We do, but we always leave them with support at the
end. 100%,
like you say, the support is.
So we've got to keep it shallow as well. So that's like, when it's like an hour-long anxiety session, you ain't going to get them to open up. So hopefully you're not opening up cans of worms. No. Whereas if like it was one-on-one or like even smaller groups, they might start saying stuff that you'd need to follow up on. But session that we do, I don't think they get them to open up.
No, but it depends though. You say it won't open up a can of worms. Just saying the word anxiety can open up a can of worms for someone.
That is true. So I've definitely, I don't know, when me and Jack did our first anxiety one over at CBC.
Oh yeah.
There was definitely one person in there where like you probably see it affected. But yeah, we're not. Well, we're not.
Like I say, what we're there to do, basically, ladies and gents, we are there to basically create an environment, an atmosphere, a nice environment where people feel comfortable about talking about these types of topics, these themes, anxiety, resilience, mental health, just the word mental health and looking at the disorders, and not just the disorders, but the coping mechanisms and the strategies and what we can do.
And the mental health can be positive
because we've all got
mental health.
Physical health, that's away from that one session.
Me and Leon done 5 a day on our last one at the end, and that was.
But that's how we're going to go into this next one, because we need to bring it into resilience and that anyway. Looking at the mechanisms and what we might do. Meditation comes up in this session as well.
Do some, are we?
I think we might do a little bit of meditation today.
I fall asleep.
What's 5 a day?
5 a day. 5 a day. So it was something that we actually learned, it was part of the session that Young Minds trained us in. I'm not too sure if they're still linked with NCS, but I know that Young Minds last year, the year before, linked with NCS in some way, shape or form, weren't they? And they trained us to train the staff to do exactly what we've just been talking about, to create a space, to be confident enough to create that space. We're not experts. We can't diagnose people. We're not really there to give advice. Do you know what I mean? We're there just to create that atmosphere and just start conversations and facilitate, really. But yeah, 5 a day was part of a session, an activity that Young Minds put in, and we've seen it before. But the way they done it,
so it was wicked. How they explain it as well.
Cardboard cut out of an apple, like for the resource pack. So you just cut out an apple shape or whatever, or a sticky note, what we use. And then you just get the team or you get the group to discuss or think about on their own individually 5 things that they do to make themselves feel good, or to take their mind off things, just to make themselves
But
feel good.
when you explain this, you explain that mental health is just like physical health, which for a lot of people, they don't see it like that. And it's like the first time they have. So you say, what do you do for your physical health? And they're like, well, I eat healthy. Well, I try to. I do some football. I exercise. I don't know, whatever things they do to make their body feel better. And then you're like, so what do you do for your mental health? And they're like, I don't know, nothing. And you're like, well, start thinking about some of the things you do. You can listen to music, don't you? And then
or what do you do when you
walk.
feel down? And like some people are like, I'll go for a run, or I do this. But like, well, that's something you could put on there. Give them a couple of little things, and then send them off. They'll all write down 5. Some won't get to 5. Some might have more. And then you just create a circle. It sounds very like cringy in that, but actually you've got to create that atmosphere. You can't do this if you're not at that level. If the class is not engaged and stuff, it's not an activity that people just jump on and just take part. It's best to be done at the end, towards the end. And then, they discuss, go round. Everyone picks 2 off their lists and calls out 2. And then they have a discussion to see if anyone heard any that they have never tried and wouldn't mind giving them a go, and they feel that they could achieve that, or ones that are similar to other people's. They can, like, common themes, common interests. If there's any that have been said, they can sort of get together and talk about those. It just, again, creates conversation. There'll be some people there that didn't know that actually there's been studies and research done that actually petting pets, animals, can actually do wonders for your mental health. For example, when that one come up, I think I was one of the people that was like, oh, right. Oh dear, I never knew that. This was about 3-4 years ago, right? And then that evening,
I think I remember you saying
it come up on blooming Twitter, and it was like Mind or something put some post with this cat on there saying about petting a cat or something, and what it does. They have like petting.
Yeah,
it's
in Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life. Like, he did a book like a couple of years ago, and that's one of the rules.
Yeah,
pet animals.
Yeah, pet an animal. Yeah,
it's meant to work wonders. So things like that, people will learn things and then leave there, hopefully going, oh, do you know what? I'm going to try that.
Well, I used your story of you being flat during COVID and going out with the kids and doing a bit of hide and seek to explain to them that, like, although these like look stupid, like some of these you'd be like, I ain't never going to try that, but just try it. You might love it. Like, that's
the thing that we always try to get across as well, isn't it? We'd say, like, look, we're here to bring down social barriers and stuff, and we know the problem these days is people are too worried about what other people think. Like, people might not want to go and roll around in the woods because they think, what's that? Look at that lunatic. Or they might not want to like dance and sing because they think, or they've been told they're not that good. Something that Sarah's been saying to my little girl, like, every day this week, is don't let anyone take your crown. She had a few people say that she shouldn't have short hair. You shouldn't wear that. Blah blah blah. Mia's got her own style. She's got her own. She's got her own fashion sense. Like, she comes out in some wacky sort of design, sort of combinations of like shorts, trousers, and t-shirt, just random.
All different colours.
But she's got her own style.
She does.
But young people, I think people in general, not even young people, I think people in general are just too worried about what other people think about them these days, and that probably does stem from social media and through unwritten rules, like we was talking about with Sally Ann, like big boys shouldn't cry and talk about emotions and all that stuff that's passed on through generations. But once they see us start jumping around like idiots, and like I've got a fake fireball in my hand and I'm playing basketball with it, but it's burning my hands, and I chuck it to someone and they're like, I'm like, quick, chuck it, it's burning. They're like, how many evils was I getting from them girls? These girls are looking at me going, is he on? One of them even said, "Is he on drugs?"
Yeah, literally.
And I was like, "Actually, no. I am on medication. I just forgot to take it this morning, which is why my levels might be a little bit heightened."
I watched Max do it. He's like, "So I've got this. The first time you done fireball, you didn't put this much into it, but this time he went full out." And when I went with Leon, I done exactly the same thing. He's standing there, and he's just like, "All right, who's ready to play some fireball?" And they're all like, yeah, whatever. And he's just like, no, seriously, you got to take it serious. Like, it's going to get dangerous. It's going to get hot in it. And they're like, what are you talking about? Just get it. And he's like, then he turns around to face them, and they're like realise that he's completely joking and being an idiot. And like, they're all just staring at him laughing, but don't stop him. He's
like, if you do it.
That is it. And then he's just throwing it around. But like, as soon as someone catches it, or just like, even if it's like, that he's like, yeah, good catch, and then they start laughing, and then it goes on, doesn't it? And they pass it along, and everyone catches it, everyone throws it, even though it's not there. and that's like the start of getting them to join in on your stupid little games.
What's your take on that, Liam?
I think with a fireball, when you throw it, it's always hotter in the staff's hands. So when the young people catch it, the ball seems to go cold, and they can just hold it for as long as they want.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
That's true. That is true. I did comment on someone holding on for too long. I was like, "You got the hands of steel or something." It's like, they're not burning.
Chef's hands. Leon, I wanted to ask you actually. Like, I get a pretty good picture of these guys in terms of their facilitation, but not so much yourself. I mean, with you doing group work, is this the first time that you've done it? I know you did little bits maybe in the old days, and obviously you do your presentations part of the NCS. But are you new to facilitation group work?
Oh, Adam, I've been doing group work since the day I started NCS 4 years ago. I think I've worked on like 11 or 12 teams, got to go through the NCS. So I suppose that's probably where I learned a lot of my facilitating. Thing is, I'm quite quiet. I'd say it's hard to explain. So when I first started this job, I'd describe myself as an introvert. Like when, Jack, do you remember when I did this training? And we had to stand up, our first ever training of NCS.
Yeah.
And like now, I find when I work and when I'm put in situations where I need to be an extrovert, that's when I'm an extrovert. But in my normal everyday situations, or like when you see me in the office, I'm probably quite introverted. So then when I'm put into a group situation where I'm leading or have to do this, I then become more. Is it extrovert? Isn't it?
Like a chameleon.
Yeah. So it's like, this is what I need to be now. I'm comfortable to be like this because I've done X, Y, and Z. That's how I sort of work. That's how I see myself.
I think
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. You hit the nail on the head there, and it's a good little point to bring up. Is actually working on NCS. Like, it's obviously group work, and then there's NCS. And when you look at NCS, if you get through an NCS program do more than one, more than two, like the skills that you'll gain from being a staff member, a team leader, especially on NCS, the facilitation skills you'll gain from that, because there is always an hour of each day minimum that you will be facilitating a session. Minimum. An hour, because that's team time. There'll always be an hour's worth of team time, sometimes an hour and a half, but then there's all the in-betweens. There's all the A's to B's, C to D's and all that sort of stuff.
Just keeping them in control at the line.
Learning what works, what don't work. And then the beauty of that, you've done like numerous programs for Hear2Listen. Like we've all seen and worked on NCS and stuff like. We know firsthand that not one group will be the same.
Yeah.
And that 100%. Is just group work in general, isn't it? And that's the beauty of that.
That's why you don't bowl in like you own the place. If it was the same every time, we'd bowl in like it was nothing. But you don't know who you're going to get. Start sticking your hand in the bag and just pulling out a load of random counters.
It actually came up when Sally Ann was on the Protective Behaviours podcast. Yeah, if you haven't seen that, links up there. But don't leave this video just yet. Just watch this one first. I don't like them cards. I should have done that. Don't click on it. But oh, bloody, why did I say that? Because I've completely
Sally Ann, Protective Behaviours. We're in the weeds again.
That's Max is trying to leave it.
No, he's back. You know, we was talking about teachers and respect and stuff.
Yeah.
And she said that she can't imagine us walking in demanding it. We don't. Because I imagine if we was to bowl in, don't get me wrong, once we've been there 6 times, we might walk in like we own the place. But that's just what we do. And I think once any one of us from the office becomes familiar with a school.
Well, as recruiters, Matt, we have to do it.
You do? Yeah, I know. But you wouldn't on the first day of a new school, that's what I'm saying. Because if you did, you wouldn't get the respect. But because we don't do that, like Develop, even though we've worked there, I've done like group work with Develop. This will be my 4th, 5th one.
But I'd say, sorry, Max, I'll say maybe not with the teachers, but with the young people. If the teachers walk us into a classroom, and then once we're in the classroom, I feel like we take ownership of the classroom, even on our first day. Yeah,
but we'd never demand respect, though.
No. Max is talking about the sessions.
Yeah, I'm just talking about what works, why we work probably so good. And obviously we do go in confident once we know them, and we do own it. I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. Like we do, we take control. And whether there's teachers, headmasters, whoever's in that room, we own that room. We take control because it's our session. But what I'm saying is when we do go in initially, our first point of contact, We're not there because we're superior to anybody else. We're not there to say, oh, you need to be doing this. We're there to build relationships and listen.
Yeah, literally.
And just talk. Like that is it. And that's how we get the respect. And then that more confident side of our team. But yeah. I think that's how we do it, isn't it?
Yeah, no, we do. We show respect and we get respect. It's that, isn't it?
I'd like to
keep on the level. I think that's what it is. We are on
a
a
level.
level. Yeah.
So yeah, I'd also
adapt as well.
Yeah, I'd also say, like, when we go in, we've got, I know how me, Jack and Chris work, we've got the mindset of like, we're not here to be the bad guy. All we're here to do is try and get as much people engaged as possible and have a good session and enjoy it. So like, if there's a couple of young people that aren't engaging, instead of trying to focus on them and trying to get them engaged when they're not and it holding up like 5 minutes of the session, we would focus on people that sort of want to be there and want to do it. So then it allows us to be that the good people, and then eventually, after sort of working with the other young people, eventually the other young people that aren't engaged start to become engaged anyway, just for osmosis.
We were talking about that.
That is a real skill, by the way.
Yeah.
To take that risk, because in my head I was thinking back to like when I did do facilitation about if there was anybody that's not included, you got to bring him in. You got to find a way to get him in.
It depends what you're facilitating. It depends. If you're there selling an NCS, you don't worry about it yet because you're there with an agenda to get as many people engaged and booked on. If we was on Health to Mind and we had 10 students and we're there for specific reasons, if there's 2 people not getting involved, we're working to get them involved. You're definitely not leaving them out because they might not be getting involved because of the word anxiety on the board or because of what they know, youth crime or whatever we're there to talk about. So,
but yeah, there could be a million reasons why they're not getting involved, but ignoring them sometimes is the way to get them involved, isn't it? Like, it depends exactly who they are,
and depends on the session, depends for the reasons why you're there.
No, but in Health to Mind, all the sessions that we're doing now, if someone's not getting involved, you can spend time on them, but like that might not. The reason they're not getting involved is just because they're that person. And like you said, like Leon says, through osmosis, they're the only one that's not involved. So then they feel like they've got to do something. They've got to give you something, and then when they give you that little thing, you give them a little bit back, and then it builds up and builds up until they're like they actually want to be there and they want to be part of the session. But you just got to trust the process. But then again, it could be completely different, like you say, and they're not talking because it's got anxiety on the board, and then you do have to go over there. But like you say, it's everyone's different.
Even with the games and stuff, like let's say like
technical far right there.
We've only got like when that say fireball, that's a perfect example. So there might be like 1 or 2 lads that are like, there's no way I'm pretending to hold a fireball. But depending on how you attack that. So if you say, oh well, you've got to get involved, it's part of the game, you have to do it, they're going to maybe build up a defense. But if you just say, all right, no worries, just catch it or pretend to catch it, don't have to be hot or anything like that, or just stand there and at least just get involved and say something, and at least you've got them involved. Sorry, lads.
What is that?
It's Snapchat.
Oh, snap fart.
Yeah, sorry, lads. My brother. Yeah, so even like getting them involved a little bit and just inching them in, sometimes that would be better than trying to force them to get involved in the game, because in the next activity or the next thing that you do, you've already built up a little bit of conversation with them, that they might, because you gave them a bit of respect to make their own choice of what they do in the first activity, the next one they might give a bit more and get a bit more involved if it's more them.
Yeah,
well.
It's just assessing the situation. Like I remember it happened at the CBC. We had mainstream sports students at CBC College a couple of weeks back. It was mine and Jack's first session since first lockdown.
Animal care.
Nah, sports.
I think you had the sports, didn't you?
Yeah,
the first one.
He's up to the football pitch in Luton.
When you did the 3-hour one.
Oh, yes.
So the first thing, fireball was on that one. But I remember saying to it, there was a few lads, and to be fair, that was the first time I'd ever done it. But I did play a little bit of basketball with an imaginary ball, and I got into it and stuff. And I said to them, look, you may not want to do this. I appreciate it's Monday morning. I was like, but look, this type of thing, these icebreakers, these energizers that we're going to embed, these things that sometimes make us look a little bit silly. I said, this is not going to be the last time you see something like this. You might go for a job interview and they bust out in an icebreaker. You might go for some training, some staff training, whatever it may be. Like we had mental health training, the NCS training, safe for recruitment, all this different stuff. How many training sessions have you been to where we haven't done a cringy icebreaker? There isn't one.
None.
There's none.
Yeah, but
right?
we're here to listen, man.
No,
These are our things.
No, but it's not just that. NSPCC, the safer recruitment, the child safeguarding company. I don't know what it stands for, Adam. You're the
Oh God.
National
Society for the Protection of Children.
Somewhere
I don't know what the other C is.
That's why I say NSPCC. But yeah, even there, sitting around a table full of like all these people in business suits and smartly dressed, and I think it was me and Brett at the time. We was repping NCS hoodies. We was the only two people.
Always.
And then we're doing them there. So I thought from that point onwards, it's like, doesn't matter what your age is. What sort of job you're going for, the chances are you're going to have to look a little bit silly. So when I told them that, they all got involved in that. Literally, there wasn't one. There was a couple of people that bounced it a little bit, sort of reluctantly. Others sort of put a bit more effort in. But as long as they
catch it, they pretend to catch it. You got
they're in. Yeah. Their hands go up when that ball goes to their face. That imaginary fireball, if they catch it, you've got them. That's it, done. Anyway, we've spent a lot of time talking about this imaginary fireball. Should we just show them what it looks like? No, I'm joking.
That'll totally work on the edit, man. Go for it. Yeah.
It's gone.
Can you throw it to gambling, Gay?
Oh, imagine that. And then just have like an overview of the Google Maps with these
going over like houses and stuff. Could nickle like Armageddon's fireball or something like that, the movie.
Yeah.
Just before it hits. I wanted to dig around a little bit I imagine there's people that are listening that think that facilitating is terrifying, and I know that I've been there. If you imagine, if you're tasked with something like, okay, I want you to go into a group of, I don't know, 20, 16 and 17-year-olds, and you've got to deliver this content. There's people probably out there, including myself once upon a time, that'd be like, oh my God, I don't want to do that. So what do you think are your sort of like tricks to like countering some of that?
I'm going to speak on behalf of everybody that could potentially answer this question. So myself, Jack and Leon, and I think they'll all agree that you don't get a choice at Hear2Listen, you just get chucked in at the deep end. Sometimes you've heard people say, obviously it can backfire if you go in blind, for example, you don't do a bit of research, you go not knowing nothing. But we have all been pushed into it in some way, shape, or form. And it sounds horrible and a little bit harsh when I say pushed into it, but talk to Chris. Chris has told me many a times when he first joined, this is the recruitment manager, he got pushed into an assembly or got asked to do an assembly within about a day of working for the company. Never done that stuff before. Steph, the same. Self, the same. You boys, am I
it's all the same,
I think just doing it. I think we just had to do it.
Yeah, it is.
I want to put the question to you, Leon. As you said, naturally you're an introvert. What kind of strategies or things do you put in place to kind of help that process for you when you're doing facilitation?
It's a good question. So best way to explain this. So when I first started, I remember all I was doing was on the phone and just doing like phone calls. I think it was like 200 quid a week or whatever before like we grew and grew massive. I remember having a conversation with Dawn and Dawn saying, all right, so we've got this job role coming up in recruitment. You're going to be okay going into schools? I was like, yeah, fine. You're going to have to do assemblies. And I remember in my head, I can still see her face now, where I was saying yes, but in my brain was just going, no.
My mind's telling me no.
And I just remember, but in my head, I was like, oh, well, I'm going to do it because this is what I want to do. And I think like, this is going to, I just thought it was going to help me, even though my brain was like flipping out. But then like my first experience of going out on my own, I had to go and do a tutorial to 16 young people, and in my head it went terrible, but I managed to get like 12 forms, like expression of interest, filled out on my own.
Nice.
But even though I messed up the presentation and everything like that, I was very nervous, I was sweating, I remember my lip was shaking at one point. I feel like my personality, like now I can just rely on my personality, because I know I'm not going to go in there, I'm not going to upset anyone or do anything wrong in that sense. I know what message I need to get across. As long as I can get that across, whether or not I can get it across correctly, I know it's going to come off authentically. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then I'd sort of try and trust in that now. So when I do assemblies, I've been up there with Jack and I've messed up. I've been up there with Chris and messed up. You just get on with it and you just carry on doing it. But they're the skills that you learn by just doing it. You have to just do it, and then eventually you can then start modifying how you do it and get better at doing it.
I feel like one of the answers to this, because I'm going to own this, it's preparation. Like, because to try and mitigate some of the concerns and the anxieties that I might have, I feel like I would be a person that just digests all the information. I know you guys are going to say, yeah, but you throw it out the window sometimes, and that's where I go. That's where I'm not natural as a facilitator. I suppose it's autism as well, but like following the plan, like to the letter.
That's not
kind of
always
thing.
bad, but with facilitating, like you can prep as much as you want, but at the end of the
Yeah.
day, when you're standing up there and you got all these eyes on you, is all your preparation going to help you? Sometimes it will.
From a knowledge point of view, I suppose I mean rather than the sort of content. So do I know what I'm going to be conveying?
Yeah, if you're not, if you're facilitating something that you don't know, then you're going to struggle.
Yeah, you need to know what you're giving out. Yeah,
I'd say like, so when we're doing that facilitating, most of the time, me, Jack, Chris, probably Max know exactly what we want to get across. It might not come across like as the script comes across. So yeah, I think we just get it out. But
it's about understanding if you're comfortable with the structure and with the message. All it is the structure of what you're relaying to them, and obviously like I keep going back to the aims and objectives to that session plan. If we can hit those and get those, we do go off script a bit. And like I said, we didn't even get through to the end, the final bit of our anxiety. We had 2 hours. We didn't play any games other than what did we played the fireball. So with this group, we know that actually they like it to be engaging. They like to be practical. They want to get involved, and we're in quite a tight space. So we had games in our mind that we was going to use, but conversations were generally that good, and that's the group work. That's the beauty of it. So we could spend 20 minutes on a conversation if it's really engaging them, and they're talking about sort of different experiences, and they're talking about early warning signs and how it affects them and all that sort of stuff. You got to let all that structure go out the window. So the session plans, like you see it on Health to Mind as well. Like when I first started Health to Mind, I used to put all the timestamps next to each activity. After the second session, or on the second session, I knew that was pointless. Yeah. No, it wasn't the second one, because the second one I thought I'd messed up on the first one. I thought we didn't do it right, man. Look, we was well out of sync. It says we should have been doing that till like 10:30. We didn't start that till 11. Like, what we're going to do? And it was stressing me out and stuff. But it's on the third one, after I tried to hit the numbers or keep it all got to the dot, so dot to dot, should we say, I realised that actually in group work it's impossible. Like, if that happens, if you can guarantee that you can get to each activity on exactly that point, then you're not doing it right. It's not a decent group. It's not engaging, because you're just getting through content. It's about making it engaging, and this is still NCS. The support work that we're doing, school supports, is under NCS umbrella. It's an NCS scheme, so we want it to have an element of fun to it as well. So, yeah, knowledge obviously is power, and that's always
I think with going back to what Adam said about preparation. Yeah, preparation is definitely key. So like, I feel like when we go into these sessions, we know what we want to say, but it's I lost my trail of thought there. I've done it now. But you can't predict what's going to happen. Like, so even that when one of our West assemblies, me and Chris went into Samuel Whitbread. We had 400 students. We had the NCS Trust there to watch us and sort of give us feedback on our assemblies and how we deliver it. So we went into the sports hall. They weren't in like. They were sitting all around the sports hall, so we had people behind us, in front of us. It was almost up in the middle. We had no technology, because technology didn't work, and we had the NCS Trust there. So then we just had to do it like freestyle, like without the presentation, and just go through it. Me and Chris
dropped the beat. And Leon just went in.
It was one of their moments. It was almost one of their moments. So we'd done it, and then at the end of it, the feedback weren't even bad. So like, you can prepare as much as you want, but you could go to a school sports session and
have no presentation.
Or there could be like a massive incident could happen just before you go in, and like you're sort of trying to work off the back of that, so they're not in the mood to play games. You just don't know what the atmosphere is going to be like, so you just have to try and I'd try and force positivity on the young people in a nice way.
Roll with the punches.
A couple of things that helped me in my last job. I guess I would have been nervous when I first did this, but my job was to do these presentations that talked about the benefits of volunteering, and I put together a present. I was very, like, when I came onto the program, I was like totally left to sort of just do it. So I went all OCD with it, but I mean, some of my anxieties about getting things right and not making mistakes fed into that, where I was like, right, I've got to prepare, I've got to do a decent presentation, get the right pictures, have it lined up nice, all that, just totally obsessed about it. But I had the freedom to do it, so it was kind of nice. And some of those pictures later on got replaced by ones that I'd actually attended. I'd gone to some of these volunteering events in the past. So I also had anecdotal knowledge, which I really liked when I did my presentation, because I'd sort of talk about a thing and go, oh yeah, there was this, you know, little kid that did like a race with an ice cream, all that sort of stuff. Being able to kind of pull things out of the bag. And I started quite quickly to look forward to those. I didn't mind them. I didn't get nervous at all. I was like, but there was an element of repetition in there as well. And I was saying mostly the same things, but because I'd got it kind of structured in my head about hitting certain beats throughout that. And I suppose the comfort that I get about following a structure was like very much there. So it kind of made it easy for me. But I remember at one point I did feel a bit like Jerry Springer, because there was one like where there was like a pack of them there and a pack of them there, and then like this stairwell thing that went up between them to get to the tiered seating. And I was like going up and down there, and I did actually say I feel a bit like Jerry Springer, and he got a laugh. Do you know what I mean? Because I was like, I got that.
You was in your element, weren't you?
I got confident. Do you know what I mean? And I think as much as an introvert I am, there are moments where I like the spotlight. When all the things are there and like
it's
I'm
going
comfortable and it's going well and I'm engaging and I'm actually believing very much in what I'm talking about as well. I love the idea of getting into volunteering, so that helped. My worst nightmare would be trying to do a presentation or conveying information on something I just don't care about.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how like torturous that must be.
Oh yeah, that'd be horrible.
Well, there goes my train of thought.
I was going to just add a little bit of context, because
that's the word. That is it.
Okay.
So facilitating and presentations and not even assemblies actually. Well, sometimes are nothing without context. That is madness.
There you go,
out.
mate.
But so you talking about that little kid on the ice cream, that would have probably stopped 20% of your audience zoning out, because it would have been that, oh, real story, let me listen quick, and then they're back in. But if you're just talking nonsense and facts and just stating, oh, volunteering is really good because you can help community, volunteering is this, volunteering is that, but because you're telling real stories, people will want to listen to it, and that's perfect. It's exactly what you got to do.
And that's exactly what I was going to lead on from.
Mate,
I didn't have to
the
say
train of thought is...
It's good, because basically you said something, you had some anecdotal stuff, and Jack just reminded me as well, and that's what I was going to lead on with, but you couldn't add that unless you had experienced something before.
Yeah.
So with all this, with doing a bit of research, becoming familiar with the content, having a passion for it, or at least believing the content is a must, obviously. Otherwise, what you're doing, like why you're doing it. But time, like I know for a fact my sessions, my health to mind session, our health to mind session, over the years have progressed massively. And that's because of the experiences on previous ones and the anecdotal stuff that I can add from previous ones, and adding little bits and relaying it back to a previous group without giving out any confidential names or anything like that. But having those stories, like Jack's always said it, I think it was Chris, the first one that sort of embedded it into all of us, because he was the lead facilitator at the beginning, the lead presenter at the graduations and stuff. And it's adding that bit of context, adding that story, something that we all do massively, like the story of me being deflated during the first lockdown. That's come up 3 times. Jack said he used it on one of his. It doesn't have to be your own story. You can still experience someone else's story just from them telling you it, just passing on that information. And I think that is what makes our stuff that good, because we have so much anecdotal stuff. Is that right? Anecdotal.
Well, I think like we use our personal experiences and our personality with it as well.
Yeah.
So then it does make it real, and that's what makes it engaging, because they can see that you're just a normal human being and you're not just there reading out words.
Yeah.
I mean,
sorry, that's what I was going to say as well. The context side of it, I want to give the viewers a bit of context, because I know they've probably, or for some people, some viewers now have watched a lot of our content, but actually, we've only spoke about bits and bobs about what we do. Now, we started off this talking about school support. So just to give a little overview of some of the stuff that we do at Hear2Listen. So you got like assemblies, the recruitment team, and I think we've all had a little dip in or experienced some sort of shape and form of, but delivering assemblies to whole year groups, that's part of the parcel at Hear2Listen. Going to schools, delivering workshops, lunchtime stalls and sessions, taking young people away on residentials throughout the whole of summer, 3-week programs, 2-week residential, 1-week non-residential, run Health to Mind and do workshops with Health to Mind within schools. There's like 20 plus, maybe 26 schools that we work within or worked within before second lockdown hit. But that's just like, that's again a brief overview.
Podcast.
so much stuff that we actually do, and the podcast now, but we've got so much. I think a lot of the stuff that we do, there'll be a lot of people, whether they're training to become a teacher or within a working environment that may require presentations, facilitating, and there will be people, like Adam said, that will be petrified of the thought of doing that, but we can give some valuable tips and advice for people getting involved, or we could actually
do a video for them on how to present.
Just presentation skills. It's one of the workshops that we deliver with our young people. It's all about presentations and body language and all that sort of stuff. There'll be 3 tips that you could gain from an hour session, or we could tell you in 5-10 minutes, that would really, really help you as a facilitator or as a presenter.
Definitely something that you get practice. Just before I go on, Leon, are you on speaker again?
I've got the hands free in. Is it? How's it sounding?
Just getting
No, you own it. I'm not bothered about it, Leon. It's only Adam.
I'm only taking the perspective of the audience.
I still haven't seen any comments telling me to speak into the mic, so I think I won that battle because we did ask 3 times.
I'm loving the new mic. You are getting up, getting down. You're kind of like all over and you're staying with it. I can stand up if I want to. So excited.
Oh, you got a new mic?
Yes, mate. No, I've just got the old one. You know, the original ones that we had on the stands.
Oh, yeah.
Well, something happened on Monday. I think Chris and Emily were recording, and something happened to one of the mic arms. It's bent out of shape. So yeah, I'm back to this one.
So they bent it.
Right.
Something bent it. I don't know what happened. Don't know what they were up to in here, but something. Yeah, a bit of damage.
Sorry, Leon. I didn't mean to shout you out, mate. I was trying to be playful with it. I didn't want to put you on the spot there.
He never apologised to me when he says it to me, does he?
He has once.
He did, yeah.
And then under the table, he gave you one of them.
Nah, it's all good, Adam. How is it sounding all right now?
Yeah, it's good, man.
How are you finding it on the phone? Like, do you find it horrible?
Do you know what? If it wasn't you 3 and we had a guest in, I'd find it horrible. But because it's you 3, it's fine. I'm happy to try and find my way to speak. But if you had a guest in, I'd feel really rude trying to speak from home. But yeah, because it's you 3, I feel like I can just jump in. Yeah. If I talk too much, you would just tell me to shut up.
No, you can't.
That's how I felt in transitions. I just felt uncomfortable, and I felt like I was interrupting every time I went to speak. And then what made it even worse, when we'd done the transitions one, it was you and Steph in office in here, and then I was at home, and then we had the guests on from transitions, the 2 guests. At one point when I actually thought I'd found the perfect time to start speaking, I started speaking and everyone was ignoring me. And I'm like, what? Did they hear what I just said? I muted myself because I was muted between speaking. I thought I better mute because I don't want any background interference. Yeah. And I genuinely had a gem, and I spoke for only about 30, 40 seconds. And then I realised, and I thought, well, do you know what? I'm over it.
Done.
Didn't even say what I was going to say. Couldn't believe it. But I just hated being on the phone. But like I say, there was 2 other people on phones, so it was like, who's going to go? Yeah. It's just, it's not nice. But
I was thinking about how it might look as well, Leon. The visual that we might have is like a picture of you, and I just thought how hilarious it would be to use the one that's on your WhatsApp image. I don't know if you're aware of what's on there, but he's like bare-chested. It's like proper.
Yeah, you can put out there, you know.
I just thought it was
Thailand. Was that Thailand picture?
Yeah. You look like you're wearing a rucksack or something, and it's too hot to wear any clothes.
Yeah.
Jeez, look at them big pecs.
Where
have they gone, mate? Where have they gone?
Who is that guy?
He's got a dad bod now.
Oh.
No, not that bad, mate. Not that bad.
What are you trying to say?
Mate.
Dads can't have good bods?
Huh? No, I'm just trying to say, mate, I've still got it.
Yeah, baby, he's got it.
All I say, when we was on the Keep Doing Good program, Jack tried to pull a bit of, the raccoon circle rope.
Yeah.
He tried to pull
the raccoon circle rope. What is that?
Yeah, it's literally just a rope.
It's
just a big bit of rope. Go on, tell the story. Get it over and done
right.
with.
So Jack's trying to pull it. I'm holding it with one hand. And then he's like, all right. Puts both hands in, all his legs. And I'm just standing there with one hand holding it. And he couldn't move me. So what are you saying, Jack?
So
that's confirming that you've got a dad bod. You heavy loader, you. What, you're a biffer?
Yeah, he was sunk into the grass like 2 inches.
Mate, we was inside and all of a sudden I had one hand on it. That's
Yeah,
all.
it's true. No, audience, it is true. Leon's had a dodgy leg for the last year and a half.
And I had a dodgy leg. I was using one leg and one hand.
And his confidence has been low. Right?
Oh, okay.
So what I've done is I've tried to boost him up a little bit. But now he's embarrassing me in front of the whole world.
Millions
I'm
of
calling him
viewers,
out.
Thousands.
Leon, mate, anytime, anywhere, me and you, tug of war. Do it for the audience.
Yeah, I'm here for it, mate.
That could visit, because we're going to create a playlist full of these amazing icebreakers and energizers that we talk about or spoke briefly about. We're going to be doing those on a playlist, and we can feature the tug of war, the 1v1 tug of war on that playlist, because it's technically like it's not even an energizer icebreaker. That can't go into that playlist.
No, it can't.
It's just like pure
We're just doing
verse.
Yeah.
We're just doing a verses playlist, just a verse. We just call it VS. Can you keep it down, Crean?
Sorry, mate. It's the little one woken up.
Oh, she can make as much noise as she wants. Bless her.
Yeah.
I was going to say, surely Kareem won't be shouting nonsense.
I don't know.
You never know, mate. You never know.
You never know. Right,
Anyway.
Adam, didn't you have an agenda to go through?
I mean, it was outside of this, but it's just about guests that are coming up. But I wouldn't want to bring it necessarily to the episode.
Nah,
No.
save it.
And it was general stuff about like what we're going to talk about. But obviously, we talked about school support, and I kind of wanted to do that.
Who like, so for example, let's just paint a picture of how many schools we had. What, 10 to 15 schools booked on for school support before lockdown 2 just
I think
hit?
we had like...
Nah, we only had like 2 schools.
We had
but
two,
10.
no, but the colleges as well. I mean,
no, colleges. No, yeah, in a whole, I think we had like 40 appointments. Was it like that? Or
Yeah. And now we've got like what?
And
15?
we lost like pretty much all of them.
We've lost a few because of lockdown, but we are very grateful and fortunate that we've still got the schools and the colleges booked on that are booked on and allowing us into their schools. We know a lot of schools are not letting us in, so thank you very much to the schools and colleges that are letting us in. But basically, the sessions are beneficial. They've seen the context, they've seen the session topics, they've got a page full of to pick from, haven't they? They've got about 20 odd sessions to pick from mental health and well-being, all the way up to sort of like careers and employability and budgeting, independent living and all that sort of stuff. So all of the key themes and the principles that they would gain from NCS, they've sort of put into workshops as such. So there's not any session that will not be beneficial. It just may not be as beneficial to some students than others. But it seems to be, and it may be because of the current thing that we're facing at the minute as a world, but in the UK, but obviously a lot of the schools and stuff are opting for the mental health and wellbeing sessions. And I think that's just because everyone's mental health and wellbeing is probably taking a little bit of a plummet again because of these new restrictions and that again, maybe.
I remember a conversation that I had, it was probably years ago, maybe 2 years ago, and young people were talking about how they were educated and sort of how they would like it to be changed. And the most common thing was they're not teaching us about life. They're not teaching us about like life skills. They're not kind of telling us about money management or anything like that. So it's fantastic that this program has been put into place to try and counter that.
Maya!
Sounds like a cat. She does actually sound like a cat.
Sorry, lads.
She'll have to wait her turn.
Yeah, you can't come on just
the
yet.
school
You
support.
can't.
Not yet. She's in the other room as well.
Tell her to keep it down. We're recording it. Come on.
But going back to what you're saying, Max, about some of the schools have chosen to continue working with us and some are not. I mean, what would you guys have to say to the schools that did pull out to try and reassure them about what it is that we do and
I mean, you can't reassure them anymore. I mean, I've not been the point of contact with the schools. That's Chris's sort of bag, and you can't blame any school for not carrying on with this program this side of Christmas because there's a lot of uncertainty still. Not every school is following the same protocols. Every school is under its own umbrella of some sort or its own academy, so they don't have to be doing the same as every other school. Some schools are wearing masks, some schools aren't. Some schools are still in bubbles, some schools aren't. What we would say is that the schools that we've been in and the schools that we are still in and we're going in today, for example, we've got a session this afternoon in Bedford at a college. We're sticking to the procedures, the guidelines, and we're sort of, we've got the mask, got the sanitizers. We're creating a bubble. We're not breaking those bubbles. We're not seeing anyone else from that department. We're in that room. It's spaced out and all that sort of stuff. We can't do any more than what we're doing. we can't blame schools. We can't try to persuade them and reassure them that actually they should have opted to do it, because each to their own, and everyone's going to be
They've
dealing
all
with
got
it
their own
different.
policies.
Literally,
I'm
gutted,
gutted, and I think they all should have kept us in. They should have all kept us on board. But the beauty of it is, hopefully, because we are going to be thick in recruitment when we come back after Christmas. Hopefully the schools that were booked in, the plan is that we'll go into those schools, and it'll just sort of help us to sort of mix the two together and also deliver sessions, but at the same time get sign-ups potentially for next year's program, if all goes well. But I would love, I woke up this morning, like, we didn't have a day in the office yesterday. We had a full day at work today. In here this morning in the office, then we're out on session. I woke up so happy knowing that I've got a session today, because it's amazing. The school, this is what I will say, because I don't doubt for a second schools and colleges will be shut before Christmas, earlier than what they should be. That's my opinion, not the opinion of Hear2Listen.
I love it.
But I do think that, and the thing that breaks my heart the most is through the first lockdown, and it's going to be the same for this lockdown, there's going to be a bulk load of people that have no support, have got no support networks in place, mental health plummeting or whatever, nothing there to do, no one to speak to. And one of the comments from the young people last week on a session, little lad, bless him, all he's worried about is whether his college gets shut. He just don't want it to shut down, because it's the only thing that he's enjoying at the moment. He's there 5 days a week. It might even be 4 days, sorry, it's not 5 days at their department, but he's just, and he's not the only one. There's other people being vocal about it, but you could see the fear in his face. Not that there was new guests in the building, because I thought that me and Jack walking in might put people on edge, because we're not part of their original bubble. But their biggest fear is the school, the college shutting down, because they love it. This is not the mainstream school that you'd imagine, like a mainstream college or a mainstream school. This is a bespoke sort of place. If no one knows, or if people are not aware of what first place training is or develop, we'll add some links in description and stuff. But it's an amazing department. Yeah, amazing what they do. And we're very fond to be working with the team at Develop. But yeah, seeing the little lad say that, Jack, that was horrible, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
He's just, and you think,
And we know him as well.
He's been on NCS. He's a graduate of NCS. He's been on Health to Mind. This lad we've seen for the last 4 years, and we can see how much Develop and what Develop does for him as a young person, or a young adult now, should I say. And you think that's going to be across the board. That's just one little group of people that we've seen. There's going to be a lot of people sharing the same sort of, I suppose to say, hopes, fears, and expectations.
Yeah,
his hopes, fears, expectations.
It's horrible though, isn't it? Because that is, like you say, if that's the only thing keeping him going.
Yeah. What's he going to do? I don't know what he does in his private time, but say, for example, that is all he looks forward to in his life, day-to-day life, and that's taken away from him. This is where I think there needs to be something set up or something available.
It's happening with everyone.
It is. Yeah.
It's
not just students.
Lockdown, but you can work. You can't go out, you can't see your friends, you can't do anything fun, but you can work.
Yeah, it's mad.
What are we going to do if lockdown carries on for another couple of months? It's going to be horrible, isn't it?
Well, mate, if that carries on for a couple of months, then I ain't going to Thailand. And
I was going to say, you're going to scorch the earth.
Yeah,
I'm going
to blow up. When I find out, my head is going to burst from its seams.
So just to look, this is our opinions, not the opinions of Hear2Listen. I will keep saying that, just because what I'm about to say is, like, just ask your each and individual views and opinions on how long you think this lockdown's going to be.
February. So I'm looking at.
Well, furlough scheme's there till March.
Yeah. I say March.
But lockdown finished in, when did it last finish?
I can't remember. God, it's
September?
June,
exactly. And furlough went on till October. So
yeah, that's true.
We can only pray.
I don't know if I'm being naive, but
January.
I'm thinking Christmas. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, that's what Mum keeps saying. But
yeah, I reckon it will be down for Christmas, and then we'll all meet up, and then afterwards it'll spike again, and we'll get told it's our fault.
What actually it's the fault of Hear2Listen.
No. Then like the public
podcast.
fault.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's always the public's fault.
But we have got a vaccine now, 90% corrected, or whatever.
Apparently, free.
Yeah. Piss for
That was actually right.
vaccination or something.
I see someone, because there's a lot of people saying that they won't do it. They're not up for vaccines. There's always a lot of hate for vaccines. It's always split down the middle, or at least a high split, a huge divide between those people that rate vaccines and will go for them, and those that will stop their kids from getting them, those that will not do them themselves. But some guy put a post on his Insta. I see it pop up last night, and it's like you've got people refusing the knowledge of world-class scientists and this new vaccine. They're going to buy a gram off Kev down the road.
I did see that.
And,
I see
and
that.
their nose, that they don't know where that's come from or who's concocted it, which is so true. How many drug addicts out there, or people that take those sort of drugs and get them from someone who they believe they know, but that's come from someone else or someone else. It's been cut with this, cut with that, or whatever's happened to it.
Yeah.
You don't know where that was made. Or
Yeah, but I
laboratory
guess
that
the way
came
they're
from.
looking at it, going full conspiracy here. The way they're looking at it is,
I said, no.
is that drug dealer's not there with a second agenda. That drug dealer's just there to make money. The way these anti-vaxxers are looking at it is the vaccine people are there to not only make money, but there's also hidden agendas that over the past 20 years has been hidden in certain vaccines across the whole world, not usually in the UK, but in other countries, vaccines have done damage to mass populations. And people are asking, well, why? Why weren't they told that this vaccine could cause this, whether it's, I don't know, like not being able to get pregnant or anything like that? Why weren't they told? And it's like, well, why weren't they told? Because they're injecting something into them that's supposedly helping them, but then it's 10 years down the line really messing up their life.
Like I say, not the views and opinions.
That's not even a view of
Hear2Listen.
me, but that is like
No.
why people are bothered about it, because of the hidden agendas.
Do you know what gets me though? Is that it's too quick. It's been quick.
For this specific one,
They
it's
say it
ready
should be 5 years. Like an average, a normal vaccine should 3 to 5 years. Like, I'm not fully comfortable in putting something in my body that has been concocted within the space of not even a year. And there's talk of another 3 on their way, because potentially it might be one for an adult, a different one for a kid, a different one for an adult. You know what I mean? So there's going to be different types of this vaccine because it might affect people differently depending on health
if this
and
vaccine
age.
is what they say it is, and it can go to all the elderly, all the NHS workers, all the people that are vulnerable, that really need it, and it sorts them out, why do I need it? Oh, I don't. Because all the people that need it have it, and all the people that don't need it and will 99% of it, or 94% of the chance survive, they shouldn't need it. It should be like the people that want it, that need it, get it, people that don't, and then it, like every other virus that's ever come across the earth, or
and then
flu,
one day we were standing
out.
there, and it's like that scene on Avengers, you know, when people just go into a puff of smoke, dust, and then the people that took it, or the people that didn't, whichever one. I'm not going to say the ones that took it disappear, or the ones that did. You make your own minds up, but one of the parties, either the do's or the don'ts, one of those parties disappears, and all the rest of people just sit there going, I'm so glad. I'm so glad. But did they or didn't they? That's the question.
But don't you think, so you got all like these conspiracies, like whatever going online or Facebook or whatnot. Don't you think it's the responsibility of the government to at least step by step explain all the ingredients in it and why they're in it?
Yes.
And how they help? Because imagine, like, if you had that clarity, you'd be like, oh, okay, well, it's got that in it, because that's going to protect this part of the vaccine, so I need that in there, even though...
But in their argument, it'd be like, okay, but why don't you ask us to break down all the ingredients in chicken nuggets?
We do. That's why on the side of the box of chicken nuggets, it's got everything that's in it.
But do you know? Yeah, but you can read those words. You don't know what it is.
I do.
No.
I do. No. I know what chicken means.
Yeah, all right. And there's only like 20% chicken in it.
I hear you, Max. No,
it's like the water. You look at drinks, any like fizzy drink.
I'm going to come at you again. I tell you the sugars. I tell you all the other stuff inside it.
But there'll be something with a long name or something.
yeah.
You don't know what it is. What I'm saying,
but Max,
you can do research and stuff. But
on that, you can see the ingredients. So if I wanted to, I could type in.
Google
like,
it.
I could, but the ingredients on a vaccine you don't get to see.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I'm just being that guy that there will be someone to say. But I remember we've said it on about 4 or 5 pods, like, and I think it first come up when we was talking about stranger danger and the things that we see online and what our kids and that see. It's about asking, like, why are we not? And I think Sally Ann said it again. It's come up on a few different episodes that we've done. Is people need to be asking why. Like, why? Because and then so they'll often say because it's going to help you, but how is it going to help?
Yeah,
we need to ask more questions. Why is it done like that? Why are you doing it like this? Why aren't you doing it like this? And then someone needs to respond because no one actually answers things. And even
Yeah.
like when you talk about conspiracies, Leon, even if it is a conspiracy theory, I was blown away. So 24 Hours in Police Custody. Sarah said it's meant to be a good episode or whatever. It's the most recent one. It was all based in Hartford. And they've basically done this massive drugs bust. And they know that looking at the amount of times that the person that they pulled over or they stopped dropping off these goods had been there 37 times before that at the same date, same time. So they added up the amount. If it was the same amount that the guy had been bringing on those previous 36 times, it added up to 170 million or whatever it was. So they had to class it as a conspiracy theory because it's a conspiracy. They haven't caught them with that. They caught them with, I don't know, 5 bars of this brown stuff, heroin, whatever it was. I think it was heroin, 4 or 5 like slabs of this stuff. They've assumed that all the other visits were that. That means the end of the podcast, ladies and gents. We're out of time now. We're gonna have to wrap this one up. Oh, it's been amazing talking. I'm joking.
What the heck
What
did you
was
need
that?
to set an alarm for?
Oh my God. 11:30 last night. Didn't do my stretches. Mum and Dad were downstairs. Set an alarm for 11:30. It was 11 o'clock at the time. And I woke up at 3 a.m, fully dressed in my hoodie and that on my bed. And that is why. Because
it was not, I've done it before. But no, so that was classed as a conspiracy. So whether it's, they're calling it a conspiracy because they haven't been proven guilty for all those other crimes, right? So that made me look at the words conspiracy theory in a different light because I've only ever put conspiracy theory to all the conspiracy theories that I've seen. Looking at people talking about the 5G or, you know, the New World Order, the Illuminati and all that sort of stuff. But actually a conspiracy theory is just a theory that someone's come up with or they believe to be factual.
Yeah.
It has been proven.
Yeah.
So why aren't these conspiracy theories that are flooding our social media platforms, why aren't they being questioned? Why aren't they being asked why on the do's and the don'ts and what's going on? Is this real? Is it not? Well, if it's not, how is it not? Because they've got factual evidence.
But it's about talking to the right people to answer those questions.
Well, Leon said about the government. That's why I thought about it. If the government are in power still, which they are, they should be the ones overseeing this and highlighting what's real and what's not, or at least attempting to put the people's.
But they got fact checkers now, but even them, they're not great.
Nah.
Do
you know, I think we've got to be close. Do you know why I know we're close to the end of the episode, ladies and gents?
Because I'm getting antsy.
And I'm busting for a wee-wee. That is how I know, because it's definitely been nearly an hour, hasn't it?
Hour 20 on, yeah.
I did, I found this this written thing. It was mentioned on Rogan's podcast. It does follow on from our previous social dilemma thing. And I did want a moment to read this out. It's a little long, but I'll get through it if it's cool. A bit of background is it mentions about 2 books. One of them was by George Orwell. Do you guys know George Orwell?
Rings a bell.
So it's famous for like the book 1984, where he envisaged a future society that was under a lot of control and all that sort of stuff. People believe that's kind of prophetic.
China.
It's happened, yeah. And then you had Aldous Huxley's Brave New World, which was a bit of a sort of different slant on that. But
Brave New World, that's that series I started watching the other day.
Yes, it won't.
That Sky series, Matt.
Say again?
Is that Brave New World? Is that when they all have to take the happy pills all the time?
Yeah.
It might be
Weird.
different.
Mate, I've watched it all. It's sick.
Is it good?
Yeah, mate, I finished it.
Yeah.
I finished it. I thought it was
we'll
sick.
come back to that in a minute because I'm sorry, Adam.
All right, it might make you think, but let's get it. So this is from Amusing Ourselves to Death. I believe it was a book, Amusing Ourselves to Death, Public Discourse in the Age of ... because it doesn't show me right now. Anyway, we were keeping our eye on 1984 when the year came and the prophecy didn't. Thoughtful Americans sang softly in praise of themselves. The roots of liberal democracy had held. Wherever else the terror had happened, we, or at least had not been visited by Orwellian nightmares, a society of control. But we had forgotten that alongside Orwell's dark vision, there was another slightly older, slightly less known, equally chilling Aldous Huxley's Brave New World. Contrary to common belief, even among the educated, Huxley and Orwell did not prophesy the same thing. Orwell warns that we will be overcome by an externally imposed oppression. But in Huxley's vision, no big brother is required to deprive people of their autonomy, maturity, and history. As he saw it, people will come to love their oppression, to adore the technologies that undo their capacities to think. By the way, this was written in 1980-ish. What Orwell feared was those who would ban books. What Huxley feared was that there would be no reason to ban a book, for there would be no one who wanted to read one. Orwell feared that those who would deprive us of information. Huxley feared those who would give us so much that we would be reduced to passivity and egoism. Orwell feared the truth would be concealed from us. Huxley feared the truth would be drowned in a sea of irrelevance. Orwell feared we would become a captive culture. Huxley feared we would become a trivial culture, preoccupied with some equivalent of the feelies, the orgy-porgy, and the centrifugal bumble puppy. What on earth that means, I'm not sure. I think bumble puppy is you play cards really badly, but I don't know how it fits with this one. Nearly in the end, as Huxley remarked in Brave New World Revisited, the civil libertarians and rationalists who are ever on the alert to oppose tyranny, quote, failed to take into account man's almost infinite appetite for distractions. In 1984, Orwell added, people are controlled by inflicting pain. In Brave New World, they are controlled by inflicting pleasure. In short, Orwell feared that Orwell feared that what we fear will ruin us. Huxley feared that what we desire will ruin us.
Huxley hit the nail on the bloody head.
Awesome.
I know.
Yeah. So thank you. We've been here to listen.
All right, boys. I'm gonna love you and leave you.
Love you and leave
Nice.
you.
I'll
Yes.
see you later,
Leon.
Adam's about
Go-
to piss
go
his
be a
pants
dad.
anyway. Yeah, be a dad.
Yeah.
Right. We'll smell you later, alligator.
All right, laters, man.
Yeah, all right, cheers for phoning, though, lads. Appreciate
Yeah.
No
that.
worries.
Cool beans, man.
In a bizzle.
Top lads. In a bit.
Bye.
Bye.